Coming up next is a panel discussion on how to bridge sustainability and innovation in the food packaging in India. This discussion will cover points like challenges and factors driving demand for innovative F&B packaging in India, major zones of innovation in F&B packaging that will go mainstream in next 5 years, etc. I would like to invite Rajat Wahi, partner, Deloitte India, to moderate the discussion. Over to you, Mr. Wahi.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the ET Summit on Supply Chain and Packaging. Lovely to have everybody here. And, as we sort of get out of the third wave of COVID, which seems to be a shorter one, thankfully, looks like business is, returning very fast back to, full pace, and talking to various clients. All the numbers, sales numbers, footfall, etc., all seem to be in the right direction in the last couple of weeks. So that's great to hear. As we start, I'm just going to ask all of you to just do a 30-second introduction and just talk a bit about yourself and what you do in whichever companies you're working in. I think you probably do a better job than me introducing you. So I'll start with the only lady in the group. So Rhea, over to you.
Thank you, Rajat. Hello, everyone. I'm the founder and CEO of Ecoware. We are India's first and largest sustainable packaging company. We use agricultural waste and we convert it into packaging that is 100% biodegradable and compostable. And the idea is that we want to displace as much single-use plastic as possible. So there.
Oh, fantastic. Sridhar, to you.
So I'm Sridhar. In fact, I'm working in Marico. They are one of the Indian largest, Indian multinational. More on the personal care and the food sector both. And it has got a global reach of, about 20-25 countries, specifically South Asia, Bangladesh, and Vietnam, and South Africa, and Middle East.
Thanks, Sridhar. Tyagi ji.
Hello to everybody. Myself, Dr. Tyagi. I am the Executive Director of Haldirams Group. Haldirams is a Indian global company, and we have the global presence more than 50 countries. We are pioneer in traditional snack, and currently pan-India, we are the market leader in salty snack, and we are also market leader in traditional snack. In addition to that, we are also market leader in the sweet. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyagi ji. Ramesh, coming to you.
Hey, thanks, Rajat. My name is Ramesh. I work with PepsiCo in a team under the foods packaging R&D called Sustainability and Science and Technology. My role at PepsiCo is more on the sustainable packaging sites for foods. I am accountable for packaging sustainability strategies for 2 sectors of ours, which are called internally as AMESA and Asia Pacific. So pretty much everything other than the Americas and Europe. So that's my role. Nice to be on this esteemed panel. Looking forward to the conversation.
Thanks, Ramesh. Yogesh, over to you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Yogesh Bambal, and I'm part of Mondelez International, which is the global snacking company. And I'm managing the chocolate molded category portfolio for Asia, Middle East, Africa. I'm based in Mumbai in a global R&D center in Thane. And my core role is focusing and driving the category initiatives for the chocolate category across the AMEA region. Be it sustainability, productivity, innovations, and greenfield and brownfield project. Thank you.
Thanks, Yogesh. All very, I have to say, a fantastic panel, very diverse, but clearly, the topic that we're going to talk about today is around innovation in packaging. And Rhea, I'm going to start with you. You're one of the leaders and you mentioned in sustainable packaging. Packaging is clearly defining the way consumers interact with brands today, right?
Sure.
Right from innovations, right from looking at. So just talk about as we look at what are some of the factors which are driving the change in packaging consumption today from a consumer's point of view, be it out of home, on the go consumption, differentiation. What are some of the top 3-4 things that you see drive the interaction between shoppers, consumers, and brands as far as packaging is concerned?
Thanks, Rajat. I think that's a great question to start with. I think one of the things that we've definitely seen in our journey is that the entire growth are in F&B, right, is around the good for you space. It's natural, it's organic, it's healthy. It's food that is supposed to be good for you. Now, my question has always been, why is the packaging not good for that food and not good for you? And that's where an organization like Ecoware comes in, because we work, we create healthy packaging for people and planet, and that complements the food that you're being served. The second thing that we're seeing is plastic bans, not just coming to India, but globally. We're seeing consumer awareness around climate crisis, climate change, the different kinds of pollution that's all interlinked. Obviously, these are becoming more and more sort of forefront conversations, whether it is in education systems in schools, in our houses, in the media as well, right? And I think that we need to recognize that waste management, at least in a country like ours, continues to be a growing, pressing issue. We are a growing population. We are still dumping everything in landfills. And I don't think we can be blind to this. Whether you're a CEO, whether you're an investor, whether you are, part of a community or as an individual. And I think that, you've got to realize that we've all got a responsibility. As a business, I don't think extreme weather patterns that we saw last year, at least, are going to save you. They will affect your P&L, they will affect your output. We're seeing that globally. And I think as a business, you also realize that the consumers are changing, right? The new wave of consumers are the Greta Thunbergs of the world, the younger generation, extremely connected. It takes one tweet, one social media little post to, damage a brand that you've built. And so I think that we've got to build sustainability into the core of our decision making. So that's my take on it.
Thanks, Rhea. I mean, there's some great examples. Clearly, sustainability is on shoppers' mind, whether they're willing to pay a premium for it or not. So that's a huge debate, right? We say sustainability, but then we go and pick up the cheapest product that's out there. So there is a huge disconnect, but I think it's a journey, like you said. I mean, clearly COVID has raised that as well. Yogesh, coming to you, just what are some of the key factors that, in addition to what Rhea said, are driving the whole innovation in packaging today? Just on the go consumption, all of those areas, sustainability that you talked about. What are some of the factors that you think are driving the conversation with between brands and shoppers?
Yeah. So connecting back to Rhea's point, and I think she has already covered all the pandemic situation and how is consumer is reacting to all this situation. And everyone has seen the bigger difference, the way in which we used to operate in the past and the way in which we are operating today, right? This pandemic has taught us how to launch anything with the consistency in quality and safety and hygiene conditions, but with the speed, which is agility. So I feel personally that e-commerce industry has boomed up like anything. Being everyone is working out of home and driving that consumption, getting the personal presence there through the e-commerce channel, that itself is a big area, I think, which has dialed up for all the companies in the FMCG sector. So one of the key things connecting back to the packaging is, of course, smart packaging solutions, digital packaging solutions, be it dialing up through a QR codes, augmented reality, or NFC for that matter, track and trace. So these are the things I think companies has started working on, and we have launched a couple of initiatives which is in this area of digital packaging. For example, Thank You Bar is one of the great generosity initiative which Cadbury has taken to thank the frontline workers during the pandemic time. And this we have just done it in 3 to 4 months of time, having this idea and convey these messages to the consumers. Safe packaging. I mean, lot of innovations are coming in terms of the barrier coatings, which are giving that antimicrobial safety factor to the consumers because of contactless packaging as well. And then some of the things which I have seen majorly is portion packs in home consumption is driving factor for the packaging segment, and companies has connected with the consumers and given them that opportunity of dialing up that consumptions wherever required, sitting at the home. So of course, easy to open, easy to reclose, convenience packaging is something which I think a key driver, not just in the pandemic, always been there, but what is the point is, I think we have seen this in real time coming into a life. So yeah, and sustainability is almost everywhere, and then pandemic has really helped us in terms of thinking on all these key drivers. And one of the key example is sustainability is not just making the material sustainable, but you need to think of overall circular economy. So I think companies are working towards how to balance the cost as well as make it more sustainable. Yeah, so these are the trends which.
Thanks, Yogesh. Some great examples of that, especially the use of technology, QR code, traceability. All of that is, really on the top, minds of all the sort of executives that we talk to as they look at packaging innovation. Tyagi, coming to you on that, and just switching gears now. Clearly, we've seen in the last, like Rhea mentioned, and we have seen in the last 24 months, a lot of new D2C brands coming up, a lot of ways in which shopper behavior is changing, at-home consumption gone up because we are mostly at home, and also the types of. But as we go back to stepping out, you're going to see on-the-go consumption going up. What are some of the examples that you have seen in 2-3 very good examples in innovation in packaging over the last 18 to 24 months that you guys have done as Haldiram? Any new innovations on packaging, because you are widely distributed across all the channels, and also some good examples of where you have seen others do it, which have created like a wow for you and say, that's a fantastic example.
Okay, thank you, Rajat. Haldiram is a pioneer in innovation. I just give slightly background of the past innovation, then we'll come to the innovation which we have done in the last 24 months.
Sure.
We are the first company in India to launch traditional snack in multi-flexible packaging in 1990, very early. And we are the first company to innovate the zip pack for traditional snack. Thirdly, Haldiram is the first company to start the pack Indian sweet, especially in the can sweet, just like a rasgulla, just like a gulab jamun, just like rasmalai, just like a other sweet, etc. So we are the first company to start the retold packing in sweet and meals, just like a dal makhani, etc. And first company to start the nitrogen flashing in the traditional snack. What we have done in the last 2 months, and there is a very good example of setup especially in UK also. On this technology, we have set up the plant in the UK also. As you know that we are the pioneer in the fresh sweet also, just like a motichur ka laddu, kaju katli, etc., which have very short life. The life will vary from 2 days to 7 days. So we have set up one plant by MAP with the help of innovative packaging technology, MAP, that is the modified atmospheric packaging, by which we will be able to increase, which will help in the COVID in a very big way. We will be able to increase our life of the motichur laddu, kaju katli, and this moong ki dal ki barfi, fresh sweet, couple of the month. And this technology will help us to set up complete plant in the UK for the Europe market. And currently in the UK, we have one of the state of the art of the plant in which we are making all type of the fresh sweet. Either it is motichur ka laddu, it is kaju katli, it is moong ki dal ki barfi, it is a khoa barfi, etc. And delivering to the supermarket with a couple of months the life, and same technology we have implemented in India also. Thank you.
Fantastic. So it's a great show on that, because that clearly is I think as you are looking to expand, I think expanding the shelf life from 5 days to 2 months obviously will really help, and I'm sure many other industries. Rhea, coming to you on this, any sort of I know you guys are doing a lot of work in packaging. Talk about some examples that you have innovated in the last 12 to 24 months, and also any other wow which you have not done but somebody else has done, which has really opened your eyes to some very innovative packaging. That'll be great to hear that.
Thanks, Rajat. So I think the first thing I'd like to, and I always say this every time Dr. Tyagi and I are on a panel, is that I founded Ecoware in 2009, and Haldirams came on board as one of our anchor customers in 2011. So kudos to their leadership team for, being able to recognize the need for something like that, for a product such as ours to, and try and get rid of plastic in their supply chain from back then. And they still remain to be, a great customer of ours. So it's always great to innovate with them and develop new product for them. Look, I think when we talk about innovation and solutions, I think especially when you're looking at India, we need to be clear, like going back to what I said earlier, that waste management is a clear problem, right? We've got to think of closed loop solutions. So it's not just bringing in any sort of eco-friendly product. We've got to think about where this product is going and what is the end of life ultimately. We don't have industrial composting facilities. So I think closed loop solutions is something that we really need to think about, and the end of life of the product. So with Ecoware, we're really clear that, if you don't have access to industrial composting, that's fine. You have access to a soil pit, a garden. It doesn't require waste segregation. The minute it comes in contact with soil, it breaks down into soil in a period of 90 days. And, I think most importantly for us, that every claim that we've made on our product is certified globally. So whether it's CIPET in India, whether it's the USDA, BPI, OK Compost, because we are a global brand, obviously. And we want to be seen as an authentic solution, not just anything that's brought in, for just the sake of it, really. So closed loop solutions, circular economy, I think is important. When we started, we were very much, I went into Sadar Bazaar and Chandni Chowk, and I basically picked out 4 products that sold well. And I said, let's just create a new version of this and let's see how the market responds. So, it was a typical plate and bowl sort of business, but we've seen the market change, and we've seen a lot more focus now on deliveries and takeaway packaging for food. So our portfolio has kind of evolved to meet that. Second thing that we're also seeing globally is a lot of people want to de-risk from China. So we're getting a lot of those sort of manufacturing inquiries into India, which is also fantastic. And that also still remains predominantly focuses on takeaway packaging. So a lot of boxes, a lot of meal trays. When we look at non-food applications, something that we are working on is medical disposables. Again, kidney trays, vomit bowls, again, in a scenario where you're worried about cross-infection, etc. So using single use is just easier. And I think we're innovating with different FMCG companies to reduce their plastic footprint as well. So moving away from non-food, just kind of outer packaging, whether it's, that's something that we're doing. We're looking at home furnishings, we're looking at sustainable fashion. So the idea is to innovate across industries and help reduce plastic footprint. I mean, growth in F&B sort of seems straightforward to us. Also, the other side of that's application, but I guess in terms of raw material, something that we do continuously is, we're a biomass-rich nation. We work predominantly with sugarcane fiber. But for instance, anyone who lives in Delhi knows how bad the air pollution is. So we're working with incubators to see how much paddy straw we can use as well, and convert that into product, consumer products. So I think, look, there is a lot that is happening globally in terms of innovation. There's a lot of curiosity, there's a lot of conversations, and our focus has to be closed loop solutions. There's no point bringing in something that we cannot, which becomes waste that we can't process.
Makes sense. And yeah, you're right. I think there's so much opportunity in terms of adapting new materials as well to packaging. And I think the solution is really working closely with the FMCG clients and various companies to see what works, on both sides, right? From a pricing as well as from an appeal point of view. Yogesh, quickly coming to you on that, some good ideas. You already mentioned that in terms of some of the interesting things that Mondelez has been doing. Talk a bit more about, 1 or 2 examples where you've seen best in class, and then I'll go to Ramesh and Sridhar after that.
Sure. So yeah, a few of the key innovation which we have done in recent 18 to 24 months of time, we have launched the Fuse Fit brand, which is mostly into a energy bar kind of a segment. This we have done it last year. And then of course, this brand is into a fitness and energy kind of a segment, which is a new area for all of us in Mondelez. So what we have done in packaging especially is we have launched this chocolate with the transparent packaging solution. And it was very challenging to manage the overall barrier properties as well as with the transparency. So of course, with the bit of a details on the material solutions, barrier coatings, we worked with our suppliers, we worked with our supply chain partners, and came up with this transparent packaging solution, which is recyclable. So this, I feel, it's a great example of balancing the consumer needs as well as the aesthetics and first moment of truth on the shelf as well, which is a need of that product, because you need to showcase what is inside on that energy bar. So goodness of the ingredients which we are using, or almonds, all those sort of things needs to be visible to the consumer. So that is the first priority which we have taken into the consideration while designing. And as most of the people are doing the innovation, but what we have done this, we have taken a thumb rule that this packaging should be a recyclable, right? So right from the start, the thought was whatever the packaging solution which we will deliver, it should be a recyclable packaging solution. So yeah, it was challenging, but we launched this successfully in the last year in India. The brand is called Fuse Fit. So personally, I feel that that's a great example. Second one is the 3D printed chocolate. So of course, you might have seen in the market. Of course, it is not available everywhere, but this is a unique proposition which Mondelez has launched last year in this market. So chocolate itself is made with the help of 3D printed technology. And of course, this is a niche market, and we wanted to portray into a super premium category and add that personalization element to the consumers as well. So yeah, it was activated in one of the Reliance Mall in Goregaon, and I think it was a great response from the consumers, and just opened up after the second wave, and it was a great response. And then I feel that it is a great example of unique product proposition as well as unique packaging, which is packaged in the super premium giftable box. And again, while designing all these things, we kept our sustainability principles also in the mind. All the packaging materials should be designed for recycle ready. So these are the two examples which I think amazing, and which was done in this pandemic time, all through the remote ways of working in collaboration with the suppliers. But yeah, indeed, we are successful and feeling really proud about that.
Thanks. Great examples of that. I know I've tried the 3D printed in UK as well. So very interesting
Yes.
innovation. And I think it brings that element of really making a personal contact with consumers and personalizing products. Ramesh, coming to you on the whole piece on sustainability, you drive that for a large brand. Just talk about what are some of the challenges and pressures that you are facing from retailers as well as consumers on packaging, especially talking about flexible packaging, innovation, sustainability. Just speak briefly on that, please.
Yeah, thanks, Rajat. I think the apt word is sustainability is a way of life today. I mean, it touches everyone, and packaging is no exception. It's a critical priority for customers. It's a critical priority for the society. It's clearly reflected in actions that most governments worldwide are taking, and for sure in India as well. At PepsiCo, we call it inside a framework of what we call PepsiCo Positive, right? Where we talk about end-to-end transformation with sustainability at the center and creating growth and value by operating within planetary boundaries. Consists of three major pillars. A brief introduction of what Pep Positive is. Positive agriculture, which is basically regenerative agriculture, strengthening farming communities, etc. Positive value chain, which is basically products that build a circular economy, a circular inclusive environment. Positive choices, which is basically inspiring people to, through our brands, to make choices that create more smiles for them from the planet. So essentially, that's, if you look at positive agriculture, the straightforward one. It's completely on the agriculture side of it. Positive value chain and positive choices is where sustainable packaging goes and fits aptly. So on a global scale, as well as in India, we've committed to certain goals. By 2025, we said that we will design all our packaging to be recyclable, compostable, biodegradable, or reusable. By 2025, we said we will invest in increasing recycling rates, right? And Rhea mentioned about end of life as well in the conversation. So that's the link that we bring in there. By 2030, we also committed to cutting our virgin plastic from non-renewable sources by 50% per serve across our portfolio. So essentially, we're saying 50% virgin plastic from non-renewable sources will be reduced. These are audacious goals, are very, very tough goals, and we have committed to push the ecosystem to deliver them, right, and do maximum possible. The entire vision being, we want to build a world where packaging is no longer a waste. Aptly to Rhea's point, the moment it becomes a waste, it doesn't create any value. It become a value proposition there. Now, if I talk about tactics and strategies that PepsiCo works towards reaching there, we look at it in 3 ways. No rocket science here. The first one is reducing. Right? Reduce your packaging as much as possible. Reduce the use of plastic as much as possible. Now, PepsiCo, as you know, works in both sides of the spectrum. The beverage side, where we use a lot of PET bottles, and the food side, where you use a lot of flexible packaging. So on the flexible packaging, it's all about making the bag sizes as small as possible and innovating to ensure that you have new to world technologies which can make the bag much smaller. So that's the reduced part on the food's flexible packaging side. On the beverage side, it's more about lightweighting, which is again using the most optimum technology possible to drive plastic reduction there, and then shifting to non-plastic alternatives wherever in secondary packaging or primary packaging, wherever apt, right? The second pillar I talked about was driving recycling, right? And that is again very clear across both our foods and beverages portfolio. We have clearly said we will design packaging that's 100% recyclable. On the food side, it's a far more complex issue because you have multi-materials which are there for a reason. You have to ensure that those materials are compatible to a recycling infrastructure. The infrastructure needs to get developed. That's a journey. We're on it, and there is significant progress there. On the beverage side, it's all about ensuring that any PET bottle that we put in the market is recyclable by design and ensuring that there are no impediments to recycling there, right? And then we said we'll, through partnership, improve access, modernize our infrastructure, and transform consumer education in the space of recycling. So that's broadly what we are up to on the recycle pillar. The third pillar that I talked about was reinventing, where we're saying we're fundamentally going to rethink the way packaging and plastics is talked about, right? The first, on the food side, here we're saying, can we develop a snack packaging which is made from renewable, non-food, plant-based materials, ready for multiple end of lives? Right. So that's the big stream of work that's underway on the food side for multi-layer flexible packaging. Of course, that's a research activity. And then on the beverage side, these are programs like if you've seen globally products like SodaStream, wherein the entire platform expansion of beyond the bottle, as we call it. So what can be beyond the bottle? What can in-house consumption be? So that's one part. Apart from that, again, the non-food plant-based plastics is also a fairly strong pillar on the beverage side. Now, if I cut all of these back to the India perspective, what's happening here is on the food side and on the beverage side, we are very clear that we have done 100% collection, segregation, and sustainable disposal of all our multi-layer plastics, right, as per our EPR commitments last year. It's been done mostly through a cross-industry collaboration, and we do have great collaboration with companies on this platform as well as others. There are organizations like We Care, Alliance to End Plastic Waste, and a variety of partners in the space. It's all about collaborative effort in that space.
Thanks, Ramesh. Lots of initiatives, and good to see the whole, the whole mantra of being positive, right, across all the areas, and sort of adding back rather than taking away across agriculture, packaging, etc. Sridhar, coming to you, just talk a bit about the big initiatives that Marico is driving in this space. How are you seeing that change, and also what are some of the factors driving innovation in as far as you are concerned from a sustainability perspective in the packaging space?
Yeah. So thanks, Rajat. I think a very pertinent question. In fact, what we had seen, we started with the reduction part of the program where our bottle weight. So our portfolio has got about 90-95% of bottles in the entire thing. And if you see cross category across the businesses, I can understand the Pepsis of the world and Cokes of the world where PET is being used for their beverages. But in our categories, that oils and all, we may be the lowest in the bottle weights, which is about, and we calculate based on the point, gram per ml of the bottles. And I think, and that's what we take pride about. But having said that, I think with COVID coming, there was completely an eye opener, especially with respect to the shelf life of the packaging. And with Rhea's point on the plastic bans and the world, we have started looking at the sustainability part of it. But primarily, our focus is now also on the food wastage part of it. And if you see the recent survey from the World Economic Forum, which has come out, is that in the February first week, which I just recently read, about 931 million tons of foods gets wasted, per annum, and that is the recent data. And with India, coming back to India, in fact, it is about 40% of the food is getting wasted, which is amounting to about 90,000 crore INR as per the FAO data. Which is quite shocking. And we had issues of the shelf life because a lot of our oil products, which is healthy oils, which is Saffola and Parachute coconut oil and all, the shelf life is max 9 months or 6 months. That's the kind of, and our foods category also has got in that range. So coming from there, we are looking at something which can extend the shelf life of our packaging and reduce the environmental impact, environmental factors such as oxygen, humidity, which and reduce that particular part of it, and controlling the speed of the spoilage, as Dr. Tyagi was talking about, the MAP part of it. So I personally feel that there are two important areas. One is material science and technology, which we are working upon very seriously, and looking at options of how to improve the shelf life of the packaging, which is a critical element, what I was talking about, the food wastage part of it. And some simple examples like oxygen scavenger, the additives, which improves the shelf life by, actively removing the oxygen from the packaging, is some of the areas which we have already started, but we will be implementing very soon on a lot of other areas. What I'm going to also talk about is we are very seriously looking about, on some of the material science bit of it, where we have seen global players operating. We have also, thinking about, just like how Dr. Tyagi was talking about the MAP part of it. So Cryovac has MAP that will allow consumers, to keep their baked goods for about 40 days, as a shelf life, with low oxygen intake and withstanding the freezer temperature. So unlike 1.5 days for the baked bakery products, which we have, which we generally see. So this brings to my point of a longer product life, could have a significant impact on distribution and inventory control of the business, and also be appealing to consumers at home. And this is more of a reality with this pandemic sort of thing, which is coming about. Coming to technology, I think two areas which I would just thought I will just talk about, and since that is where we are also looking into, and it caught my eyes, of one of the things. Like, there's a company called Chilcan, and Ramesh would be knowing, who have made cans, self-chilling cans, which you actually need to turn the upside down and twist off the base to activate the liquefied carbon dioxide. That's an active coolant, and just wait for about 75 to 90 seconds for a chill drink. So that temperature drop, which is about 30 degrees, helps in eliminating the entire cost of refrigeration, which is a huge environmental impact if you see the chilling process of the entire the process, So and helping saving from this negative carbon impact. So finally, I think this is all I have to say. Frankly, as a community in the industry, we need to have a disruptive technology or thinking, and going beyond just the strange in structure of the laminate, meeting sustainable needs, and only recyclability as a agenda, and of course, and going much ahead of the curve, looking into the food wastage part, and this thing. While this, of course, has to be a prime concern as on this particular thing.
Some great ideas, Sridhar, and some very innovative packaging solutions. And I haven't seen these, but I'm going to definitely check online to see some of these interesting ideas and what how they are doing it. The one thing that nobody's talking about is refillables, right? Because when we were growing up, our parents pretty much refilled everything.
Yeah,
we sort of kind of look down upon that. But I think that is there an opportunity to sort of driving more of refillables, where you take the product, your bottle or whatever, back to the shop and get it refilled, because it just saves so much packaging, and the whole cycle gets shortened. And I think India is great at that, has always been, but somehow we are moving away from that. Tyagi, your sort of points on sustainability. What is it that Haldirams is doing? How are you driving some of those initiatives? It'll be great to hear that.
Yeah. Thank you, Rajat. We are doing the sustainability in various ways. Haldiram has the two sectors. One in FMCG, that is the long life product, and second also QSR. So I will start with the QSR.
Okay.
QSR, we have converted all the poly bag to paper bag, number one. In our restaurant, whatever cup and this spoon we are using, we have converted to the agriculture, that is the by wood. So this type of the initiative, mainly for disposable container, we have converted from the poly to wood. And if we come to the FMCG business, so definitely, just like other company, we have also ERP commitment, 100% ERP commitment. Whatever we are using the multi-layer plastic waste, we are collecting from the market with the help of our other organizations which are approved already in ERP. So it is a collaborating effort. So by which we are collecting 100% multi-MLP and non-MLP and making this recyclable. And second, innovative effort taken by the Haldiram, we have set up our own plastic recycling plant. Because when you are collecting all this EPR commitment, so we are verifying only through the document. Where it when on to the this is for the made to the Nana, or it will go to the road, or it will go to the cement plant. But we don't have the own control. However, these are the very good organization, and they are authorized organization. So there is chances of the error are less. But Haldiram is taken a initiative by putting 12,000 metric ton plant, by which we will collect multi-layer plastic waste from the market. It will come to our own plant. Then after collection, we segregate it. Then after segregate, we wash it. After, then we will do the shredding. Then we will do the drying, and then we will make the recyclable dana, which will be mainly used for the furniture, just like make the chair. But it will be the raw material for the furniture industry. It will be the raw material for auto part, plastic auto part industry, and various item making. So we have done a lot of the exercise on this project, and I think this project will start within 6 months. So by which we will be having more control on MLP and non-MLP. Secondly, we are doing other effort also. We have also make a syndicate. Definitely in this syndicate, Pepsi is also there, Haldiram is also there, Balaji also there, other company also there, by which we are discussing internally, because our on-the-go pack is the ₹5 and ₹10 pack, or it is the most selling pack, and it is very convenient to the customer also. So what we are going to be do with the help of other industry, we are optimizing our pack. Whatever we can minimize the pack. Suppose we will be able to reduce our pack size maybe 20%. So we are going to be reduce the multi-layer plastic wastage, MLP and non-MLP by 20%. So this is the third initiative taken by all the industry in this direction. And fourthly, we are doing some biodegradable. Our research with our associate will continue for the biodegradable laminate, and also we are working on the recycling laminate, because when you pack the snack, so you need the nitrogen or you need the food grade air to retain the product, as well as also to save the product during the transportation. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyagi. Just Ramesh, coming to you, and then I'll come to Sridhar and Rhea after that. What are some of the how is talent being attracted to this? Are you seeing a lot of startups come into this space today, or are you guys having to coax people to look at that because of global norms? And just talk a bit about what you guys do globally as well, because I'm sure PepsiCo globally is a very, very large player in this space. So just your thoughts on that.
So thanks, that's a great question. And I think it's a very pertinent one. I'll start from what is happening today in India. There are startups which are interested, and startups which have good amount of traction getting created, not unicorns yet, but with differentiated ideas, specifically in the waste management space. So it's a very I should say a very good thing to have, because essentially that's an area where we are lacking, as Rhea mentioned. Collection, recycling, sorting infrastructure is what we're lacking. So 3 examples that I would like to touch initially, and then we'll talk about how it pans out globally, is in the digital space. So Tyagi, when he talked about, he mentioned how there is a lot of efforts that is being done, collection of materials from the marketplace, bringing it back to a recycler, recycling it, and that's a complex value chain. It is a complex value chain. Waste gets collected at homes, sometimes segregated, sometimes not segregated, goes to MRFs, recovery facilities, picks up from there. So it's a chain which works, right? How about digitizing chain? So that's one area where there are lots of startups that have digitizing each part of this chain, adding value to each element of the value chain. So moment you digitize this chain, a brand owner or anybody can put up my hand up and say, hey, I know exactly what I'm getting, right? Suddenly the credibility of that entire chain starts getting increased. Suddenly you now know what traceability is there in the system. That's a big space. There are at least 10 startups in India whom I've come across in global platforms as well as in Indian platforms who are in this space quite recently. The other big one, now this is digital transformation, is India's core. So I'm sure we will have more coming in there. The second one is equally a big core in India, artificial intelligence. There is significant amount of positive work that's happening in the space of how can you use AI and image recognition in waste management and recycling. There are companies in India who are going and presenting and going and being invited to present in global forums, including forums in Europe, on their work. So these are technologies which from a visual recognition perspective, understand what material it is. So on a mixed waste bag which contains PET bottle, a PP bottle, a multi-layer plastic, a food plastic, a shampoo sachet, right? Today, technology limitations are there in differentiating and sorting each of these. So unless you sort properly, you can't recycle properly. So can AI and vision systems help doing that. Yeah, there are projects. If you look at globally, there are projects, big projects like Pepsi supporting a project called Holy Grail, which is basically giving a DNA to each pack. Right now, these are a slightly different avatar. I should put it. These are more looking at with the visual cues. Can I differentiate them? Can I differentiate a PET bottle from a PP bottle, and so that I can get what do you call it? Differentiated, segregated bales of PET and PET. As well as with MLPs, can I differentiate a PepsiCo MLP from a Haldiram MLP from a Marico MLP? Why is it important? Not really important in every case, but in some cases, why is it important? All our structures may not be consistent because our products are different. Some products require, as Dr. Tyagi was mentioning and Sridhar mentioned it as well, require protection. So they might incorporate a material that aids them protection. Some materials do not require that amount of protection, so we'll get away with a single material. So differentiating that gives you a different value chain. That is a space which is exploding. There are at least 3-4 startups who are at fairly advanced stages. Yeah, and some of them in discussions globally. So that's the second part. What I see is in this space, stereotypes are being broken. Right now, coming to globally, what we do globally are, of course, our partnerships with Plug and Play, our partnerships with do give us a lot of new innovative ideas in the field of, say, biodegradable packaging, all of those. To be specific to this part of the world, what I would say is one program that has caught my eye is the Alliance to End Plastic-Based Plug and Play incubator platform. That is a platform which they done set up for industries in this field of plastic waste management. I've been honored to sit in the first panel out of Singapore, and some of the innovations that were in this space from startups across Asia was absolutely top class. There is no second opinions on how quality of innovation is, both in recycling side. When I say recycling, chemical recycling, mechanical recycling, and sortation side, big amount of innovation and new business models. You are seeing startups coming up with new business models. It's too early in many stages, but I'm sure they'll pick up as we move. So good action happening is what I would say in the startup space here, and welcome action.
Thanks, Ramesh. Sridhar, your thoughts on that? Looking at global as well, from any learnings from global innovations as well that you had mentioned. You gave examples of a couple of innovations on packaging, but just in terms of new players entering that you guys are partnering with.
Yeah. So I'll just take a minute. In fact, I was just reading an article. In fact, I'll just touch base on, we as a D2C brands, whether it be the food sector per se and the food packaging sector per se, there's a bit of a scare which has been created into the multinational, Indian or global. And I think it's a very healthy scare, and I'm very happy that complacency has gone. In fact, it was written, it is not D2C, direct to consumers. It was dare to compete. So quite an interesting way to look at it. But I think that's the space which has got created. And I think I would take one example, which is about 7 to 8 years back. Epigamia, the fruit yogurt, the Greek fruit yogurt, which they had come out with an innovation, a classic innovation, with granola bars, and I think the entire packaging was so beautiful, and the ease of use, the beauty about that entire packaging was an eye-catching one, and that was the prime factor of their success. If you look at it, that particular space of food sector per se. Coming to the D2C space, and as Ramesh was telling, and I will just touch about some key trends which we have seen, and and I've read about it, is which I will touch upon a bit later. But before that, I think there are some classic guys, just like Rhea, who have now ventured out into this particular space of biodegradability. And since my favorite is always waste, food waste, so Green Pod, which is based in Chennai, which is an agri-biotech firm, and they are creating sustainable solutions to combat food waste in India. It's basically the technology is nanoactive packaging, and that can extend the shelf life of especially the fruits and vegetables, which is a critical element into this entire chain and across the supply chain. So it works by using this plant phenolic compounds, to slow down this ethylene biosynthesis process, and as well as activating the acquired resistance of the product to help it to retain its quality. So why can't I use it, or why can't Marico use it, or why can't other industry use it? Why it should be restricted to fruits and vegetables? So that's the question which we generally ask. Then there is a Finnish company called Paptic who are replacing paper and plastics with a new material which is much durable, as paper weighs about 30%, and it reduces the weight by about 30%, and it's 80% biodegradable. That's what they claim. Now coming to 2021, some key top trends which I have seen, and also which is there, which has recently come in, is this Internet of Packaging, which they call instead of IoT. And the smart packaging, which Ramesh was talking about with respect to AI tools, which I have seen. In fact, they have already launched this AI tool to segregate the material in Holland. They have started doing that, and it's purely uses IoT and AI as a main component for doing that segregation. And it is up and running. So that's what I saw, and it was quite interesting the way they have done their this thing. The second is this biodegradability part, where this Bulgarian startup has come out with this 100% biodegradable and compostable lamination films, which is quite interesting for all of us, where we look into multi-layer films, and with polylactic acid, which is a common material, and of course, and they what they do is they coat it with a nanoparticle, with an antibacterial coating additives in the film, which gives a very good oxygen barrier and makes the food suitable for food packaging. And lastly, it's on a technology front, where the key to all this D2C, specifically on the food sector, is the digital printing, which has started. What Yogesh was talking about, the 3D printing. The key to success will be how fast you get into the market, which all these D2C companies are doing, and that creates a bigger opportunity, and that's a key trend which has come out. And of course, the cost is there, but when you see that the challenges faced in low quality of color, the labor cost, all those things, plus the lead time, which we generally face as an FMCG company, it is an instant solution for all these printing. This thing, you don't require plates, nothing to talk about, and it straight away goes to a single pass in digital printing, and makes it less laborious and much flexible, and the turnaround time is faster. And I think customization becomes a bigger opportunity there, and which the consumers prefer. So I think these are the things which we are looking into as the future, going forward. And I think that's a big opportunity for all the entire industry as such. How we need to step up on this particular thing.
Thanks, Sridhar. Lots of interesting ideas, lots of startups, and I'm sure many of you are already working with them, doing that. So Rhea, I'll come to you. I think we have maybe another 5-7 minutes left. So just be good to get some sense from how are you innovating some of these new things? Do companies come to you to innovate? Are you just taking ideas to them all the time from an innovation perspective? And are you seeing a lot of activity in that, with a lot of other companies also coming up in that space, or is it still only a handful of players?
Thanks, Rajat. So I have to say that sustainability has never been the sexy space to be in. We've chipped away for quite some time, for about 12 years. When I started, none of my stakeholders understood what biodegradable, compostable, what I was trying to do, what kind of product I bought in. And I think it's taken a lot of education and awareness. And we started much before any sort of Clean India campaigns, Swachh Bharat, etc. And considering that we're 1.8 billion people, I think, we've still got a lot of education to happen to like reach everybody and create this wave of change that we need to see. So from a startup perspective, to answer your question, yes, there are a lot of startups who are trying to solve for these issues. And I think what's important is that they currently, a lot of them are SMEs, right? So to kind of reach that scale, what's important is for them to be incorporated into supply chains of Sridhar and Ramesh and, the Yogeshes of the world and Dr. Tyagi, so that they have the opportunity to collaborate. And the larger organizations aren't sort of starting from scratch. And the entrepreneurs are able to scale solutions that create positive impact, right? Like I touched upon before, we are obviously innovating it with newer innovations. We're innovating with new raw material. We are seeing more players certainly come in. All I would say is, like I said, the authenticity of the solution is very important. Everyone thinks that it can just throw out an eco-friendly solution. But all the large-scale serious players, whether you're looking at the Indian Railways or Etihad Airlines or an FMCG, everyone wants certification to make sure that what they're engaging with is an authentic solution. So that's really important. We are getting a lot of inquiries. I think at the start of our journey, it was definitely us pitching a lot more, but now we're getting a lot of inbound inquiries. Just sitting in India, I mean, we partner with 16 different countries globally. We have an extensive distribution network across the country that services Kashmir all the way down to Kerala. And you'll see with COVID, I mean, that's all inbound really, to be honest. And like I said, the other exciting part is a lot of global players want to de-risk from China. So we're getting a lot of contract manufacturing that's happening in India for such products that we're taking on board as well. I think that, you've got to, every stakeholder, whether you are an investor, you are a CEO, you are a shareholder, I think needs to see sustainability as an opportunity. And we need to see more purpose-led businesses that inspire people, partners, where they're delivering this long-lasting financial impact, right? Equitable impact and societal value that earns and retains trust ultimately for all stakeholders. And I think that's what we need to see more of. And I think that, the sustainability is definitely becoming the forefront of conversations now. So you're looking, you're definitely seeing people seeking sustainable solutions. You're looking at investors want to make sustainable investments. It is becoming more of an attractive space to be in.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, I'm sure, like you said, it's, it takes 10, 12 years for you to now get top of mind for everybody, but hopefully it's there now and it'll stay there for a while as the pressure on planet, saving the planet. And there's just, I mean, if I'm on Insta, every single celebrity to sportsmen to CEOs talking about that. Yogesh, coming to you, just talk a bit about do you partner a lot with startups and innovators, or are you sort of waiting for them to pitch to you, or do you already start thinking about that from the moment you look at your NPD cycle? Where does sustainability come into the whole play? I mean, just talk briefly on that, and I'll just to everybody for their last comments.
Sure. Thanks, Rajat. Of course, most of the panelists already talked about the sustainability is always on the center front. And we as a Mondelez global organization, of course, we also have the same goals. By 2025, we have to make all our packaging designed for recycling. So that is a topmost goal. Of course, reduce 5% virgin plastics and use more of recycled content by the technology. So these are all initiatives, of course, and these are global commitments which we are doing. Coming to your point on the startups and the supply partners, how we innovate. So of course, there is a proper method of innovation or renovation, or you can call it as a breakthrough discovery platforms like sustainability. So we do partner with our suppliers as well as suppliers. So to cite an example, and it's a announcement already which we have done last year. So we are coming up with the recycled content flexible packaging for the chocolates, which is a very, very innovative space using that recycled content into a flexible packaging, and specifically for the food products, is something which is unique, and we are working on that. So of course, with this example, we are not just working with the direct flexible packaging suppliers. We are going upstream as well. We are working with the base film suppliers. We are working with the granule suppliers as well. So this is a great example, and we are kickstarting a lot of initiatives in this space because we are having certain goals in terms of the global commitments on the sustainability. So a lot of work is happening, and then of course, as we heard in this panel discussion, it's not just about the materials and the technology. It's all about thinking about the end of life cycle. So whatever you design, whatever you create, you need to think of end of life cycle, and that's where the collaboration will come into a picture. And we need to dial up these initiatives considering the respective country regulations as well, and because every country has their different regulations as well as the infrastructure. So some countries has the developed infrastructure for recycling, some countries on the verge of developing it. So yeah, so in this journey, of course, we are working towards making all our packaging recyclable, as well as collaborating with our external partners to create that recycling ecosystem. So that's about it. But I think two big initiatives which are already happening, and then we are working towards it.
Thanks so much, Yogesh. Tyagi, last words. Future of packaging, sustainability or style, or both.
I think both sustainability the first and also that also.
Sridhar?
So I think sustainability and of course I believe in helping the new venture capitalist or venture funds. So Marico Innovation Foundation has been involved in a lot of the small companies and promoting them. So I'm involved in talking to them on a daily basis, on a technical inputs being given, and of course from the Innovation Foundation, a lot of support financially as well as promoting them. And over the last few years, I've seen quite a good amount of this thing. So it's doing good to get good ventures out in the market. So I would appreciate that, and all the multinationals need to start looking into that perspective, both to build sustainability as well as promoting the entire ecosystem, which is critical. Yeah.
Thanks, Ramesh.
Yeah, to me, it's not a question of one or the other. It's a question of both. The choices that a consumer makes will be positive choices in the future. So, and within that positive choices, you deliver all what you are delivering today. So it's absolutely essential that sustainability is front and center. It's absolutely essential that all our core tenets of innovation that were there for all these years do stand the test of time and move ahead in the cycle. So to me, it's a mix of both, and it has to be laddered, in my opinion.
Yeah. Last but not the least, your thoughts on sustainability versus and scale, and where does that end? Where does that go from here?
Look, I've said the last hour that it needs to be seen as an opportunity. I think sustainability, style, profit, it all goes hand in hand. Okay, it's not one or the other, like Ramesh said. And that's the realization that everyone needs to have, and we need to act on it very, very quickly. And I mean, we see with Ecoware, when people buy our products, it's like, okay, look, it's great, it's attractive, it's a sturdy product, and oh, it's green too. So it kind of ticks all the boxes, and those are who our consumers are, and that's what we're building for.
Thank you. I think a great discussion by everybody, and great learning for me as well, because, as a consumer, I'm always sort of evaluating products as I buy them. I'm hoping that, all our listeners will do the same and turn to some of the folks on this on the panel today, and also to Rhea, to support some of the initiatives that she's driving in that space, and all the other startups who are getting into this, to basically partner more and bring more of the sustainability. And like you said, all of you have said, it's not a choice anymore. We have to have, obviously the consumers have to like the product. It has to be sturdy, usable. We're going to see a lot more on-the-go consumption as we are moving around. But at the same time, it needs to be easily recyclable or refillable or collectible, so that it can be, it can be, put to use again. So thank you everybody for a fantastic session.
Great.
Lots of learning for everybody, I'm sure, and have
Thank
a
you.
safe and
Thank you.
great time.
Thank you.
And take care.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone, for such an engaging discussion and covering all the possible aspects of the topic. Now we'll move to the next session. Stay tuned, everyone.